What's up, guys? Parker Talks is back. Today I'm going to be doing my predictions for week 5 of the college football season, and we need to do better than last week because I was 5-5 last week, which brings my total to 19-10. There's only one game that's postponed for this week, and that's UAB Rice. So let's get these started with my top 10 games. Okay, so let's start with number 19, Virginia Tech, at number 8, North Carolina, and North Carolina is a 5.5-point favorite. And I feel like this game is going to be pretty close. North Carolina struggled against Boston College, ended up winning that game, but I know that was going to be a tough game for them as they have not played a game in 3 weeks before that game. Virginia Tech has been scoring a lot of points, and what I really like about Virginia Tech is their rushing attack. Their top running back has 3 touchdowns already this season, and they are third in rushing in the ACC. But North Carolina has a very good rush defense, and I believe that's going to be the big factor in this game. And I'm going to go with North Carolina, but I feel like it's still going to be another close game for North Carolina by 3 points most likely. The Red River rivalry is next as number 22 Texas is going to play Oklahoma at the Cotton Bowl. Oklahoma is a 2-point favorite in this game, and this is not the game that many people on both sides, many fans on both sides, were expecting for this game, as Oklahoma lost to Iowa State last week, and Texas lost to TCU. I was predicting that both games they would not cover in that game, but they both lost those games, and I honestly don't know who to pick in this game. I had Texas go into my playoff after what I've seen. Both teams are not good on defense like they have been in the past few years. They haven't been good on defense, and I just can't trust either of these teams right now. If I had to trust one more team than the other, I would say Texas, but I mean, this is, I feel like, a pick'em game, and if Texas loses this game, the Big 12 is going to be out of the playoff. I'm going to go with Texas, and if they lose this game, I'm not picking them again. So, sure, Texas. Next, we have number 4, Florida, going to number 21, Texas A&M. Now, honestly, when I was going through my whole SEC predictions, I predicted this would be the game that Florida was going to lose by having a 9-1 season. Florida is playing very well this season, and I do believe Texas A&M did play very well against Alabama. It's just Alabama was just too much for them. But I did see Kellen Mond as quarterback for Texas A&M really step in that role, and I feel like Texas A&M can be a good team this year. It's just they were facing Alabama. Florida played against South Carolina and won that game by more in the second half by pulling away. And I feel like this is going to be a close game. This is going to be a great game to watch. If there's any game to watch this week, this is going to be up there definitely. Florida has just been playing really well so far this season. This is going to be a tough opponent for them. I picked A&M before. I'm going to pick Florida in this game. Florida is a 6.5-point favorite. Let's go with A&M to cover. Let's go to the CBS header. Number 14, Tennessee, is going to number 3, Georgia, and Georgia is a 13.5-point favorite. And this is going to be a great Tennessee-Georgia game this year, as we have Tennessee getting a solid win over Missouri, and Georgia a very dominant win over a top 10 Auburn team as well. That game wasn't close at all, and they really beat Auburn pretty badly in that game, and Stetson Bennett is looking to be that quarterback that's very solid at Georgia. We'll see if JT Daniels, the transfer from USC, will get healthy anytime soon. Right now, Stetson Bennett's playing very well, and Tennessee, actually, Ty Chandler is leading the SEC in rushing yards with over 170 yards so far. However, Georgia has the third best rushing defense in college football so far, which does not look like a good matchup so far for the Vols, although I really think the Vols are definitely going to cover in this game. Although it's on the road, I feel like the Vols are going to keep it close by probably 7 points, or maybe 4 to 7 points in this game. I think Georgia's going to win, but definitely look to go for the cover for the Vols. The next game I have is Kansas State going on the road to TCU, and TCU is an 8.5-point favorite. Both of these teams, I believe, are very similar this year, as I did not have any big expectations for these teams, and they're definitely big surprises so far, as Kansas State has already beaten Oklahoma, and TCU has beaten Texas last week, which was a huge win for TCU, and Kansas State had a solid win against Texas Tech as well last week. Both of their quarterbacks are playing well, Skylar Thompson on Kansas State and Max Duggan from TCU. Both teams are really good, and these are going to be solid teams this year. I believe both these teams are going to be ranked teams at the end of the year as well. I'm going to go with TCU, but again, I feel like Kansas State's going to cover. These teams are so similar, so close that this is going to be a really close game. I'm predicting TCU by 3 points. Arkansas is going to number 13 Auburn, and Auburn is a 15.5-point favorite. Now, Arkansas had a huge win last weekend as they beat Mississippi State, who beat LSU. Mississippi State was looking great, and they went into Stark Vegas and beat the Bulldogs, and it's been their first SEC win in 20 straight games. Now, Auburn did not look good at all against Georgia. As I said, Georgia has a really good rushing defense, and Auburn has just not been able to rush the ball, which is what they need to do, as these Auburn teams in the past are really good at rushing the ball, and that's one of their big identities as Auburn football. Now, Arkansas is looking really strong so far, and Felipe Franks looks very confident in there as quarterback, and they're running the ball very well. Although it is at Auburn, Auburn's a little bit harder to win a game at than Starkville. So I'm going to go with Auburn in this game by 10 points, meaning Arkansas will cover. Arkansas has a lot of momentum, a lot that I haven't seen before in a while with them. However, I think Auburn might be a little too much. Number 2, Alabama is going to Ole Miss, and they are a 24-point favorite. Alabama had a great win against A&M as they handily crushed A&M as a ranked team. Mac Jones is playing very well. It looks like Alabama's offense is still even better than their defense, and that's been the case for the past few years. And for the longest time, we always said how great Alabama's defense was. And Ole Miss had a great win in overtime against Kentucky, as they are, both teams, Ole Miss, Alabama, are 4th and 5th in passing in college football, respectively. However, I feel like just Alabama is, like I say every week, Alabama is just a little too much for Ole Miss. Ole Miss, again, has great players on their offense, and I believe Ole Miss can get to over 500 this season, probably. It's just that Alabama is just so good this season that they're so good that I think they can even cover that 24-point gap. Because Najee Harris is great at running back, already has 5 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle has already caught 3 touchdowns. There's just so many playmakers. Like I always say, I feel like Alabama will cover in this game. The next game let's go to is the College Game Day game. Number 7, Miami is at number 1, Clemson, and Clemson is a 14.5-point favorite. Clemson hasn't faced a really good team so far this season, and Miami is one of the biggest surprise teams this season as they look very good. And then De'Aaron King and Trevor Lawrence combined for, let me check, 13 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. Both are playing very well. Both running backs on their teams are playing very well as well. When you look at the stats, honestly, for offense and defense when it comes to overall passing and rushing, for both offense and the defensive side of the ball, these teams look very similar in their stats. That could be depending on the teams they play. However, I believe that Miami has played a bit tougher of a schedule so far than Clemson. However, it's going to be at Clemson. Even though there's not going to be as many fans, it's going to be really loud, and this is going to be definitely much tougher than when Miami went to Louisville earlier this season. Clemson, again, is the number 1 team in the country. Trevor Lawrence is playing very well. Both defenses are really good as well, as you see Miami get that turnover train, but don't forget about Clemson's defense as they just replace guys every year as well. This could be a really fun game. I feel like Clemson is going to cover in this game by about 16 points. I hate to say that because Miami is a really good team, but I feel like this is going to be a really fun game, especially at the start. Next is Kentucky being a 3-point favorite at home against Mississippi State. Mississippi State last weekend had a shocking loss to Arkansas, as Arkansas finally looked very good and won their first SEC game in a long time. And Kentucky had a heartbreaking loss to Ole Miss in overtime at home. This game it feels like a pick'em game, honestly. Kentucky and Mississippi State are very similar. Kentucky has one of the best rushing attacks in the country, but Mississippi State has a great rush defense. On the other side, Mississippi State looks like, they are number 1 in passing in the league. However, KJ Costello also has 5 interceptions next to his 6 touchdown passes as well. I mean, all that being said, I feel like this is going to be a pick'em game, definitely. I feel like Kentucky is going to win this game because I feel like just after that game against Ole Miss, which was a heartbreaking loss in overtime, I feel like they're finally going to catch that break in home because they're still at home in this game, and their fans will rally behind that. So I'm going to go with Kentucky, but this is probably going to be the closest game of the week. The last game I have is also between two teams that I believe are very similar, as Texas Tech is going on the road to number 24 Iowa State, and Iowa State is a 12.5-point favorite. This is actually going to be my upset of the week. I was originally going to go with Iowa State, but I feel like I'm going to go with Texas Tech in this game, as Iowa State had that very big win against Oklahoma. I don't know how good Oklahoma is this year, honestly, but nevertheless, that's still a big win from Iowa State. Texas Tech almost beat Texas. That game went into overtime, but then they lost to Kansas State the week after. I feel like now this is going to be the break for Texas Tech to win, as Iowa State has already beaten Oklahoma. They have that. They feel like they have all that momentum. I feel like Texas Tech can come in and kind of like shock Iowa State this week. So that's why I feel like they're going to be my upset of the week. Both quarterbacks are playing very well, and they have similar stats as a team for both teams in this game as well. And I believe their play style is very similar as well. Texas Tech is very good with both passing and rushing. So I'm going to go with Texas Tech in my upset of the week. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I'll catch you all in the next college prediction videos. So thank you guys. See ya.